Welcome trainers. Today I have a very special video for you guys because it's my very first tournament coverage video. Whoop, whoop. Now, although I mainly participate in, Arkansas PVP tournaments, today's tournament actually comes to you from Texas. To be more specific, today's tournament was hosted by Brownsvillians, and it did end up being a 7-round mega tournament. Now, first and foremost, I wanted to give a really big shout out to EXEGGUTOR, who actually posted this tournament in ARPVP, and I saw it and I was like, yeah, I have the time, I'm gonna check it out and do this tournament. Now initially this tournament had maybe 100 or 110 participants who RSVP to it, but once check-in began and throughout the tournament a few participants dropped out, there ended up being about 73 participants, which is still enough for 7 rounds. This tournament in particular ended up being my best toxic tournament so far. I went 6-1 and tied for first place running Shadow Executor. So funny enough, I actually went 3-4 in my weighted tournament, and I was really disappointed by that, but I'm glad that with enough time and practice I'm getting more accustomed to my team. I've been running the same team the entire cup, so first and foremost, let's go ahead and take a look at my team. As I mentioned, I'm running Shadow Executor with Confusion, Seed Bomb, and Psychic. The Spice! Next up, I'm running Golbat with Wing Attack, Poison Fang, and Shadow Ball. Next up, I'm running Toxicroak with Counter, Mud Bomb, and Dynamic Punch. Dynamic Punch is actually really useful for the Wormadam Trash matchup if they don't shield. Next up, it is my boy, my precious Drapion with Ice Fang, Crunch, and Aqua Tail. To help round out my coverage against Wormadam, I'm running Steelix with Dragon Tail, Crunch, and Earthquake. And last but not least, I'm running Bibarel with Water Gun, Surf, and Hyper Fang. Now, all in all, this team is actually pretty well balanced. It has a threat score of 534. Now, if you're not super familiar with what I'm showing you right now, this is just basically a simulation of your team against the entire meta. I'm using PVPoke for this simulation. And this list in particular is my threat list. So the higher up on the list the Pokemon appears, the more of a threat it is to my team. And as you can see, Wormadam Trash is #1 on the list. Now, if you've done a few toxic tournaments, you know that Wormadam is everywhere in this cup. He's super good, he's really tanky, and he's kind of a pain to deal with. So for my particular team, I only have one hard counter to Wormadam, and that's Steelix, and the other counter is the Shadow Executor. But even for Shadow Executor, he really only wins that matchup if you shield bait a C-Bomb first and then land a Psychic second, so it's not exactly the best counter. Personally, I found that if there's ever a Wormadam in my opponent's lineup, I kind of have to get very tricky and finicky with how I deal with him, otherwise I end up in the wrong matchup and I just get swept. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the tournament, and I just want to give one more thank you to the Brownsvillians admins for hosting this tournament. It was a lot of fun. So for round 1, I'm up against B-Ball Ben 10. For Ben's lineup, he's running Toxicroak, Bibarel, Wormadam, Flygon, Golbat, and Hippowdon. Now right off the bat, I noticed this Wormadam, and that is my #1 concern in terms of forming a team of 3 against him. Now typically when I try to create a team of 3, I like to have double coverage, simply meaning that I have 2 Pokemon that can cover any one given Pokemon on the opponent's team. Now of course, while that might work out in like a perfect world, or you ran the perfect team against your opponent's team and you have like this absolute advantage, it does not always work out that way. So in this particular situation, I am thinking that I want to run my Shadow Executor, and I probably want to leave Steelix on the bench for this one. Now he is bringing Toxicroak, Bibarel, Flygon, and likely Fire Fang Hippowdon, and so I'm thinking I'm just going to let Steelix sit this one out. I am still going to bring my Shadow Executor to deal with his Wormadam. Anytime I bring Shadow Executor, I prefer to put him in the lead situation. That way I can bait out something that Shadow Executor does really well against in the situation that I lose the lead. Now against this team, I decide to bring my own Bibarel as well. I feel like Bibarel is a good safe switch against this team. And even though he has Toxicroak and Wormadam, Wormadam is not the hardest loss in the world. Bibarel will still put out some damage before fainting. Now for my last pick, I couldn't decide between Drapion or Golbat. I ended up going with Golbat because I didn't feel comfortable running Bibarel and Drapion on the same lineup in the event that, I couldn't land my Shadow Executor against his Toxicroak. I did not want to run, 2 Pokemon in the back that were weak to Toxicroak. Not to mention overall, Golbat does pretty well against his team. Hardest loss is probably against Wormadam. but I also have that Shadow Executor to help me out against Wormadam. Now, heading into game 1, I win the lead really bad, and we expect an immediate switch out because Toxicroak cannot handle those confusions. Now, lucky for me, he actually switched in his Wormadam Trash, which is the only, Shadow Eggs is the only counter I have, and so I decide to stick it in. Typically in these situations, I would shield bait, but I'm not sure how he'll handle the situation, and so he decides not to shield, which is like best case scenario for me, and I land the defense debuff, so I'm just going to eat this Bug Buzz, switch in my Golbat, and farm him up at this point. Now, I have energy on my Golbat, but he decides to switch in his Bibarel, which is like not a good situation for me. I throw out the Poison Fang to try to do some chip damage to him, and at this point I'm thinking about switching out, hopefully catching the Surf on my Bibarel, but it does not work out that way. And so at this point in time, he actually has Toxicroak in the back, and so he really should have switched out immediately to Toxicroak and saved that energy. But because of the fact that he threw, I have low HP, and there's really not a whole lot Toxicroak can do to farm me up. So Toxicroak eats the Surf, he still has 2 shields, he finishes me off, I bring out my Golbat, and I'm thinking this could be a Sludge Bomb. I still have 2 shields, better be safe than sorry. Turns out to just be a Mud Bomb, which is, totally fine. I farm him up. And at this point in the game, I'm thinking, he has 2 shields, I only have 1. This is a losing matchup. I have some energy, but the question is, can I get to 3 Poison Fangs in time to win this matchup? And so I throw this second Poison Fang, and for some reason he does not shield, and I don't understand. I don't know if he thought he was done for and he's just like, I'm gonna throw the matchup, but I don't know if I could have gotten to a 3rd Poison Fang. I don't think I could have. So for round 1, game 2, it was the same exact matchup, but he had played it out a little bit differently, and for some reason we had to rematch. I wasn't initially okay with the rematch, but we were running super late. He mentioned like uploading footage, and I'm like, dude, it's totally fine. Like, let's just rematch. Let's jump into it. And so as you can see, it's the same exact lead situation, and immediately, he takes 1 confusion this time, but he switches out into Wormadam. And so I thought about shield baiting. I probably should have, but I still decide to throw straight Psychic, only this time he gets the charge move before me. So I decide to shield. I am not going to lose all that energy. I throw the Psychic, and at this point I am expecting the shield. I'm just thinking, do I have enough energy for 2 Psychics? And immediately I realize, no, I don't. But will he shield the Seed Bomb? Let's see. And the answer was yes, he does shield the Seed Bomb, so he has no energy. And I think I'm at a huge advantage until I look at the rest of my lineup and I'm like, wait, neither of these Pokemon do well against Wormadam. What am I about to do? I send out my Bibarel as basically something to eat up all of that energy he's throwing at me. I'm just thinking, if I could get my Bibarel low, I know he has Toxicroak, I know that's coming out right now. Maybe this will work out. I throw my Surf at the Toxicroak, he has no shields, so Toxicroak's done for, and I wait to see what he has in the back. And he brought the same lineup. He brought Bibarel in the back, and at this point I'm thinking, man, I don't remember how this matchup plays out. Basically the question is, can I get to 3 Poison Fangs in the time it takes him to get to 2 Surfs? Because I have this shield right here for one of them, but I don't have a shield for the second Surf, and I don't think I'll survive it. And so I get to that second Poison Fang, and it was about this moment when I realized, ooh, I'm not gonna get to it. I am not getting to that Poison Fang. And now I'm thinking, do I survive the Surf? And the answer is barely, but he still knocks me out. And my Bibarel gets 1 Water Gun off, and he is left with like 2 HP for a GG's against me in game 2. So we're heading into game 3, and we are running the same lineup, only this time he leads with Wormadam. Now, at this point in time, I'm thinking, okay, He likes shielding this situation, so I'm gonna go for the shield bait and get that shield with a seed bomb. The only problem is it doesn't work. And so at this point I'm like, what do I do? Double bait. I go for the double bait. I'm thinking he didn't shield the first time, he's gonna shield this time. He does not shield this time. And I'm thinking, this was the moment when I realized, like, it's probably GG's. I decide to shield. I think about switching. I decide not to. I'm thinking, I can farm him down. I can farm him down. No, I cannot. I cannot farm him down. And I decide to let it go at this point. I'm thinking, man, I really screwed up. I come in with Golbat, get some extra energy, and he still has his Barrel, so he has me covered really well with this Golbat, and I'm thinking, oh no. Oh, he has Toxicroak in the back, I had Barrel in the back. I better send it out. I tried to catch the Surf, did not work, and at this point, it's beyond GG's. But we're still gonna play it out. I'm gonna throw the Surf. I believe he eats it. No, he shields it. He wants to keep his Toxicroak alive and healthy, and he farms me really, really bad. And at this point, I'm thinking, it's over. There's no way around it. I let that go through. It ends up just being a mud bomb. I'm thinking, oh man, this is impossible. So I figure I have to eat these mud bombs in case Barrel has a Surf, but I have such low HP and he still has a shield in the bank. It is over at this point. I would need to get to 3 Poison Fangs to win. He really outplayed me in the lead situation. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but he must have realized that I need to land those Psychics and realized that I was going to go for a shield bait at some point. So this is just vicious. Water guns me down, and that is the end of our set. And you played really well. GG's, Ben. Alright, so moving along to round 2, I'm up against Cosmosis, and right off the bat, just like round 1, I notice his Wormadam. This time, I'm a little scared about running my Shadow Eggs because of Glysaur, but I know I definitely don't want to run Steelix because of Barrel and Flygon. Those two would just devastate Steelix. And so I'm thinking I'm going to lead with my Shadow Eggs, and I noticed he brought Vileplume. Against a team like this, I'm thinking, man, my Drapion, my beautiful Ice Fang Drapion would be great against this team. So I bring in Ice Fang Drapion, and last but not least, I'm thinking Golbat would be pretty safe against most of this team, would be a pretty safe Pokemon to have in the back. So that's how I run it. Shadow Eggs lead, Drapion, and Golbat. We're heading into game 1, and right off the bat, I win the lead, but this is not really the lead situation I want. So initially, I'm thinking about switching out, but I'm also like, man, if I just commit 1 shield, I could win this situation and have a ton of stored energy. So I decide to stay in. And luckily for me at this point, he decides to switch in his Wormadam. So after last round, I'm not sure if I should, shield bait or not. I don't know if he knows how to play this out or not. So I'm thinking go straight Psychic. He ends up blocking it, but luckily for me, I know I can get to a second Psychic. And at this point, I'm thinking, please, please let it go through. I don't have anything else to cover Wormadam. And luckily for me, he does not want to commit 2 shields. He lets it go through. And at this point, I'm like, good job, Shadow Eggs. You did your job. You got Wormadam low. So I'm thinking I probably want to bring in Golbat at this point. I don't want to get hit with a charge move, but I'm thinking if I bring in Golbat, I can probably get to that Poison Fang. He's probably not going to shield it, and I could take out his Wormadam, and I should be in an okay position. I'm thinking I don't know what his last Pokemon is, but I know if he brings out the Barrel, I got it in the bag. And as you can see right here, he decides to bring back his Barrel. I go straight Poison Fang, beat him to the charge move. I know he has no energy, and so I'm thinking, what's in the back? What's in the back? And it turns out to be Flygon and Drapion. So at this point, I mean, it's GG's. I'm not going to shield this. I'm just going to do the quick switch into Drapion. Ice Fang is going to take out that Flygon, no problems. And, I don't know if this is an Earth Power or not. All I have to do is shield and fast attack down, And that's what I decide to do, and it is GG's game 1. Heading into game 2, I was a little worried that he might bring Glysaur, so I decided to lead with Shadow Eggs, but this time use Bibarel as a safe swap if he led Glysaur, and I also kept my Drapion in the back. Heading into the game, you can see right away I was right about worrying about that. So immediately I swap out. I want nothing to do with that Glysaur whatsoever. And he throws a charge move against my Bibarel, but I'm thinking there's no way, that's not an Earthquake. And I was right, so I don't shield. He switches in the mirror match, and I'm thinking, interesting. I go straight Hyper Fang, he decides to eat it, and at this point I have the HP advantage. So he's taking me down, he throws his own charge move, likely a Hyper Fang, and I'm thinking, maybe I can aggressively farm this down, just maybe. So I'm going for it, and I'm like, shoot, he's about to get to a Surf, I need to throw a charge move. And so I get it to Nice, thinking he wasn't going to shield it anyway, but he shields. And it turns out I could have just aggressively farmed it after all. And so at this point he throws out his own Wormadam, and I'm thinking, okay, throw the charge move. Your Shadow Eggs have to take this guy out. You have Shadow Eggs for Wormadam, you have Drapion for Glysaur, you are fine. At this point, I'm like, ooh. I'm like worried, you know, I have to use that last shield to protect my Alolan Eggs, but he also has a shield, and I think he'll beat me to 2 charge moves. So I throw the Seed Bomb because it would KO at this range, and he decides to shield, and I immediately throw out Drapion to catch that charge move. And lucky for me, it lands on the Drapion, and this is the best possible scenario because now, you know, my eggs are safe, and I get a little bit of extra energy on my Drapion, which is going to help me out immensely when Glysaur comes out, so that there's no chance he's going to get to the Earthquake. You know, I beat him to the Aqua Tail, and that Aqua Tail that's all it's going to take to finish this match off. So GG's game 2. So we head into game 3, and I finally see the Vileplume. Now I know this is a winning matchup for me, but I can't remember if he's able to get to a charge move or not. And luckily for me, I was able to straight farm him. The only issue is that I expected a really hard counter to my Shadow Eggs, and instead I got Wormadam. So I did a blind swap into Drapion, and at this point I'm just thinking, oh geez. I'm basically trying to do as much damage as I can to his Wormadam before feigning. So I decide to commit 1 shield and only 1 shield. He threw straight Iron Head, so I'm expecting a second Iron Head shortly. So I'm just going to go straight Aqua Tail. I'm not going to block this second Iron Head, and I'm thinking, okay, I know I'll survive this, and if I can just get to 1 more Aqua Tail, I can get Wormadam pretty darn low. So luckily I get to that last Aqua Tail, and you'll see here in a second, I knock out his Wormadam, and I'm thinking, okay, I wasn't able to KO. He has a charge move ready. What do I want to send out? And so I decide to send out my Bibarel to eat this charge move, and I really thought about the shield, but I don't know what he has in the back, and luckily for me, it was just an Iron Head. And so now I'm thinking, awesome, like I'm in a great position. I have a charge move on my, you know, Shadow Eggs. And at this point, he has 1 shield in the bank, and I'm just thinking, if I can get him to shield this Hyper Fang, I can swap in my Shadow Eggs, and it'll be GG's. And right there, he shielded it, and I'm able to come in with my Shadow Eggs, throw this Seed Bomb for the GG's, take him out. There it is. So GG's Cosmosis. For round 3, I'm up against Ninja of Ice, and with Ninja of Ice's lineup, I think Golbat is really strong against it, with the exception of Piloswine. And even though Bibarel is not the best matchup, at least Poison Fang could do some chip damage to it. With Golbat in mind, I also want to cover Golbat's weaknesses, and so I'm thinking I want 2 Pokemon in the back that could handle Piloswine really well. So I decide on Toxicroak, which could also double as a shift recover, and I also go with Bibarel as well, which could also do some pretty decent damage to Wigglytuff. So with those 3 in mind, I decide to run them in that specific order. Golbat with a Toxicroak switch in with a Bibarel in the back. So we head into game 1 and I completely win the lead. Now typically in this situation you go straight Poison Fang, but I figure he's going to switch out, and luckily I did not throw because he switches into Piloswine. Now I have Toxicroak ready, and even though he throws a charge move here, I don't think it's going to be a Bulldoze. Now the Avalanche is going to take me super low, but I can still get to this Mud Bomb. And I'm expecting a shield here, but I know with the counters, I'll still be able to take him really low before he feints me with Powder Snows. Now, in this situation, I'm actually giving it a decent amount of time for the switch timer, but also so that he's not ready for my Bibarel to come out. And I end up feigning him with Water Guns before he throws his charge move. Now, when the Wiggly comes out, this is actually not the worst thing in the world. These Surfs are going to do a decent chunk of damage to this Wigglytuff if he doesn't decide to shield. And because of the fact that he did not decide to shield, I'm able to get that Wiggly like super low. He switches out his Golbat here, and I still decide to throw the Surf. Now mind you, I have a ton of stored energy and a shield advantage at this point, so there's no reason for me to bait. I go straight Shadow Ball, and I don't know if he thought I was going to bait with Poison Fang. There's no reason for me to bait. And at this point, I mean, it is beyond GG's. All what I need to do is shield, and I'll be able to knock out this Wiggly with just wing attacks. Yep, that's game 1. For game 2, I decide to switch up my lineup a little bit, and this time I lead with Bibarel along with Drapion and Golbat. So heading into game 2, I win the lead. He leads with Golbat this time around. And I'm just thinking, you know, I'm expecting him to go straight Poison Fang, so I wait for the 5 wing attacks, switch out my Drapion, trying to catch a Poison Fang, but better yet for me, I actually catch a Shadow Ball. Now, I don't know if that was intentional or not. I think that was a waste of energy, and so he rightfully throws out his Toxicroak here, and I'm just gonna, dump this energy. This is just a losing matchup for me. And I think this is another mistake on his part. He decided to shield that Aqua Tail, which would have not done, very much damage at all. And at this point, there's no reason for me to shield this. I'm still ready just in case he has Piloswine in the back. I don't want to waste my shields just yet. So I'm just going to really aggressively farm down this Toxicroak, get as much stored energy as I can. And he throws Dynamic Punch. In that situation, Mud Bomb is definitely the better option. So I'm ready, and there's the Piloswine. Now, this was a mistake on my part. I threw a Poison Fang trying to shield bait him. Unfortunately, it did not work out. I immediately switch out to the Bibarel, and with a shield advantage, even though he catches the Surf with the Golbat, he needs to shield it. And this is bad news for him because Bibarel is going to knock out his Golbat. All what I need to do is shield 1 Poison Fang, and I can I could tank I could tank 1 more Poison Fang. I could really aggressively farm down this Golbat. So at this point, I contemplated the shield, but I decided not to because I'm really not sure how much energy his Piloswine has in the back. So I'm ready with the Surf. I throw the Surf at the Piloswine, and I'm thinking, okay, does he have a charge move ready? Is this going to KO? It doesn't KO. And it turns out I did not need that shield after all. I was able to knock him out with just Water Guns. GG's game 2. So typically when I win the first 2 matches, I get more lax with the last game. And this time he led Shiftry. My only answer to Shiftry was Drapion. And so I sent out my Drapion, and I'm thinking, yeah, I could take the Leaf Blade, I could take the Foul Play. He throws a Hurricane. So, it was really early into the game when I realized, yeah, this is done. I lost game 3, it's fine. He sends out his Toxicroak, and at this point, I am toast. I sent out my Shadow Eggs, and I'm thinking, Mud Bomb, I'll be fine. No, Dynamic Punch, and it still hurts because, Shadow, super squishy. And of course, the Shiftry's coming back out, and I'm starting to think, well, I don't know what he has in the back. Maybe he'll block this Seed Bomb. Maybe he'll have something in the back that's super weak to Bibarel, maybe. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna get some energy from this Shiftry, you know. Maybe his Shiftry's like his only answer to my Barrel. You know, it's possible. I need to commit both my shields here. Not fun because, you know, Leaf Blade. But I'm thinking, maybe, it's possible. And so we get to the last matchup and he's up a shield. I'm up, you know, one charge move. But he also has the HP advantage and I'm like, yeah, it's GG's. He's got this one in the bag. And so I throw the Hyper Fang, I go for the Surf, and I was still thinking maybe there's a chance, but considering he still had that extra shield, I'm like, And as you can see, I tried to totally fluff that. I was trying to catch the charge move with my Shadow Eggs. Didn't work out. He throws the Hyper Fang, and he has the HP advantage, so it's GG's. GG's Ninja of Ice. For round 4, I'm up against Zystar04, and against his team, you know, I noticed the Shiftry after the last round. I kind of have Shiftry stuck in my mind, so throughout this tournament, I really like leading with my Shadow Eggs, but only this time I'm thinking, okay, you know, what can I run so that I'm still really well covered against Shiftry? And I'm thinking, you know, Golbat and Drapion are definitely going to be in there. I'm thinking I probably want to use, if I'm going to lead, you know, Shadow Eggs, I probably want to use Golbat as the switch in. That way, if he has something, I don't know, like a Glysaur, I still have, you know, Drapion in the back to deal with. So my lineup for this round is going to be Shadow Egg lead with a Golbat switch in with a Ice Fang Drapion in the back. So we head into game 1 and he totally called my lead. I was a little slow on this switch, but I sent out my Golbat and he sends a charge move anyway. Now I noticed he sent it, you know, really quickly, and I'm thinking, you know, this has to be a Leaf Blade. I'm not shielding, and, you know, rightfully so, I didn't shield, thankfully. Now he sends in his old Golbat, and I'm thinking, okay, you know, I have the energy advantage. It doesn't make sense for me to do anything besides go straight Shadow Ball. And, you know, he rightfully blocks the first Shadow Ball, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe he wasn't counting. So I throw a Poison Fang thinking maybe I could get the second shield. No, he called my bluff, and at this point I didn't care if it was a Shadow Ball. I wasn't going to shield either way. Ends up just being a Poison Fang, and we get a little bit of lag here. There's the Poison Fang, and I'm thinking, okay, you know, Golbat, you're done. I have Drapion ready to farm. And lucky for me, he throws a charge move. He totally could just farm me down. I guess he was worried about Shadow Ball, but he threw his Poison Fang, and Drapion is ready to farm up this Golbat. And I'm thinking, okay, you know, no matter what he throws at this point, I'm not going to shield. I don't need to shield. It doesn't matter if it's a Shadow Ball. No point in shielding. So I don't shield here, and it ends up being a Shadow Ball. I tank the Shadow Ball, and I'm like, great. Lots of energy on my Drapion. Let's go. Throw out what you're going to throw. And he throws out his Toxicroak, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to throw something here. And he shields. I did not expect him to shield this charge move. And I'm thinking, awesome. And I was so quick with this Shadow Egg switch in that 2 confusions just deleted his Toxicroak. Now he has no shields, so I just throw the Psychic against his Shiftry, and you'll see, even though this is resisted, like, that does so much damage to his Shiftry. So at this point, it's like, it's beyond GG's because I have Drapion in the back, so there's no point in me shielding. Drapion can come out here, I have 2 shields, and I just knock him out with Ice Fangs. Heading into game 2, I run the same team, only this time he leads with Golbat. Now, you could one-shield this situation and win with just confusions, but I typically try to catch the charge move with a different Pokemon if possible. So I sent out my Drapion, and I'm not going to bother shielding, you know, whatever this is, and it's a Shadow Ball, and then of course he's going to switch out, and he has this Toxicroak ready, and I'm like, okay, you know, this is a losing matchup, just throw the Aqua Tail, take the L, and move on. And, you know, luckily for me, he does decide to shield there, and I'm thinking, okay, if I send out the Golbat, I probably don't have to shield, you know, no matter what this is. So I decide to go that route. I really want to, you know, preserve my shields for the, you know, the Shadow Eggs as much as possible. And I'm just really, really aggressively farming at this point. You know, whatever this is, I don't decide to shield. It does end up being a Sludge Bomb this time around, and that is not going to tickle. But I have so much stored energy on my Golbat, you know, I'm ready for whatever comes out. and he switches out his Wormadam, and I'm thinking, shoot. I'm like, you know, running the sims in my head, and I'm like, I don't know if I could stretch my, you know, shadow eggs this far. I'm totally prepared at this point to commit 2 shields to my shadow eggs, but the wing attacks from Golbat are going to hurt, and these confusions are going to hurt. I don't know if I could get to 2 charge moves. You know, at this point, I basically just need to get to 2 seed bombs to win the game. I get to the first seed bomb here, but I realize, you know, after that Golbat came out, I'm too low. You know, I don't have enough energy. I can't get to the second seed bomb, and I had it ready. That's the worst part. You know, after the damage loaded, I had it ready. You know, so with just my Golbat left, I'm like in panic mode, and I'm like, shoot, how much damage does Poison Fang do? And obviously it doesn't do anything. So Confusion takes my Golbat out, and that is GG's for game 2. So we head into the tiebreaker round, and after what happened last game, I'm like on super high Wormadam alert mode. So I run my double Wormadam coverage team, which involves a Steelix lead, not a Alolan, Shadow Exeggutor switch-in with a Golbat in the back for extra coverage. So heading into the game, we lead Steelix into Golbat, and I'm thinking, okay, this isn't Wormadam, but I can deal with this. I'm not prepared to, you know, spend any shields on this matchup. I'm just thinking, you know, go straight crunch. Don't shield. If he baits, that's his own fault. He goes straight Shadow Ball, and rightfully so, and I'm just thinking, you know, crunch, 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 throw these crunches. So, you know, we're playing this matchup out. Neither of us wants to commit shields at this point in the game, and I'm just thinking, okay, you know, this is the moment. He's either going to commit the shield, or the crunch is going to take him out, and as it turns out, this crunch is going to connect. This crunch is going to take him out. He wants those 2 shields. I'm like, okay. And Toxicroak comes out. I'm ready for the switch. He was not ready for the switch. Look at that damage. Look at that confusion damage. And luckily he sends in his Wormadam, and I'm thinking, yes, like, yes, I'm gonna go straight Psychic, see if he shields. He does shield, and I'm thinking, okay, he really wants to protect Wormadam. I only had enough energy for Seed Bomb. I know he had a charge move ready. Let's see if he shields, and he shields. So, and he sent off the charge move. So this is like best case scenario for me. You know, shields are gone, and he sent off the charge move, and I'm thinking, you know, Steelix needs to come out. Steelix has to get off this Earthquake, like, no matter what. So I decide, I have 2 shields in the bank. I'm like, okay, one of these shields is going to be committed right here, so I could get this Earthquake off. And I'm like, it's GG's at this point, you know, as long as Steelix takes out the Wormadam, my Golbat pretty much has free reign to take out this Toxicroak. I still have a shield in the bank. I decide not to shield, thinking it might be a Mud Bomb or something, and it was. I wasn't sure how much energy he had. And at this point, you know, I threw the Poison Fang, but I was thinking about it. I was like, well, even if this is a Sludge Bomb, you know, it's not going to take me out. And at this point, you know, I threw the Poison Fang, but Wing Attacks would have taken him out. And yeah, that was good games. Good games, Zeister04. So for round 5, I was up against DRBG God, and something happened, and he basically said like, hey man, could you give me 15 minutes or so and I'll be ready to battle? I'm like, yeah, it's not a problem. And basically what happened was we got to the time limit, and he was essentially like, yeah, you know, something came up, I can't battle this round, just take the win. And I was like, all right. I mean, I definitely felt bad about it. I don't like free wins. I like to earn my wins, but this round, you know, this would have been where round 5 was if round 5 happened. But without further ado, let's move on to round 6. For round 6, I'm up against a Predator 8V, and oh man, this guy had some spice on his team. So for Toxic, this was actually my first time going against a Venusaur, a Girafarig, and a Heracross. So I was really just like, I have no idea how to play against your team. So just at a glance, I was thinking, okay, I think Drapion would be a pretty safe lead against your team. I also think my Shadow Eggs overall would be pretty safe. I just have to worry about Drapion. And then for like a closer, I'm thinking maybe Golbat, but kind of similar situation. Also just have to worry about Drapion. And so, you know, with that lineup, I'm thinking I think I have this whole team covered, except for Drapion, in which I would only have the mirror match. But as long as his Drapion, you know, if I can align it properly, I think I'll be okay. So let's go ahead and jump into round 1. So right off the bat in round 1, he leads with his Giraffe Rig, and I'm thinking, I have no idea how to play this matchup. I don't know if I should switch. I think I'm gonna win this. I'm really chunking at him. So I go ahead and I throw the Aqua Tail, and I'm thinking, you know, he's probably gonna shield, and he ends up not shielding, and I'm still like, I don't know what to do. He throws a charge move, and I'm like, I don't even know if I should block. I decide to block because I have no idea what charge moves he might have, and I'm like, okay, I won the lead and I'm down a shield. What's coming out? His Bibarel comes out, and I'm like, okay, I have a crunch ready. I'm gonna throw a crunch, and then I'm gonna send out my Shadow Eggs because that's a winning matchup, and we'll see how quickly he switches. So I send out my Shadow Eggs, and he's ready to switch, and there it is, the Drapion. And at this point, I'm like, man, I don't know how to deal with this Drapion. You know, I'm thinking the Drapion has Aqua Tail and Crunch, right? So he farms down my Shadow Eggs, and I'm like, okay, my only answer is my own Drapion. So I send it out, and at this point, I'm like, I don't know what he's gonna throw. You know, it's Fell Stinger, and honestly, I was prepared to eat an Aqua Tail, but Fell Stinger made it so much worse because he got to 2 Fell Stingers, and those Ice Fangs are gonna destroy my Golbat. And at this point, I'm like, oh god, my only hope at this point is that I could fast attack him down fast enough so that I have energy for the Bibarel to do 2 Poison Fangs. And I'm like, I have to shield the Fell Stinger. I shield the Fell Stinger, and I'm like, there's no way those Ice Fangs just completely destroyed me. GG's game 1. Heading into game 2, I knew I had to make an adjustment. His Drapion, you know, if I ran the same line, I would be done for with that Drapion. So I swap out my Shadow Eggs for Toxicroak so that I'm better prepared to deal with Drapion. So I decide to lead with Drapion once again, only this time he leads with Bibarel. And I'm thinking, okay, let me farm up some energy, and then I'm gonna switch in my Golbat. And I'm really hoping at this point that he's gonna switch in that Drapion, and he does. And I'm thinking, yes, Drapion is out there. He is so ready for me to farm with my Toxicroak. I'm gonna go straight Shadow Ball, and I'm thinking, okay, you know, I'm hoping that he's gonna do Fell Stingers. I'm hoping he's gonna commit shields and want to keep the Drapion alive. And at this point, you know, I'm ready for the Fell Stinger, so I'm not gonna shield at all. I'm thinking, yes, I can get to the Shadow Ball, and he's gonna shield. But the issue is I throw the Shadow Ball, and he doesn't shield, which becomes a non-issue because I barely win the matchup, which means I basically have game control at this point. So he sends out a Flygon, and I'm thinking, yes, this game is in the bag. My Ice Fang Drapion is ready for this, and as soon as he switches out to Bibarel, my Toxicroak is ready. So instant swap to Toxicroak, and I'm like, it's done. It is a done deal at this point. This Toxicroak Bibarel matchup is a straight farm down, and then, you know, I don't really need to commit shields at this point. The only thing I'm worried about is his energy on his Flygon, and if he could somehow land an Earth Power. Plus he has 2 shields in the bank. But the good thing about the Drapion Flygon matchup when we get there is that those Ice Fangs absolutely devastate Flygon, and he has such low HP that I'm able to take out the Flygon with just Toxicroak alone. So Drapion wasn't even needed. So I realized with this opponent that I need to basically switch up my lineup every round, even if it makes me super uncomfortable. So I think, you know, okay, let me lead Golbat this time, let me bring Bibarel, and let me bring Drapion. So we head into the round, and I lead Golbat into Drapion. I'm like, oh lordy, like what have I done? I immediately swap to Bibarel, and he stays in the matchup, and I'm like, is he going for a crunch? But then he throws his charge move way too early, and I'm like, no, he's going for Fell Stinger, and I'm thinking he's gonna commit at this point, but he immediately switches out, and I'm like, that's a huge waste of energy. So I'm not quite sure why he did that. He sends out the mirror. I throw the Hyper Fang, and he rightfully shields this situation, and he's basically set up to win the mirror no matter what. But at this point in time, you know, he beats me to that second Hyper Fang, and I'm thinking, all right, I'm just gonna let it go, it's fine. But he throws a Surf instead, and I'm like, that was a mistake. Because now I'm able to get to this second Hyper Fang. You know, even though the rest of my team is weak to Bibarel, you know, now his Bibarel is essentially dead. He's going to be able to get to a Surf, and I'm thinking, okay, I really need this Drapion to protect my team right now against his Drapion. Let me shield this up. So at this point in the game, he sends out his own Drapion, and I'm thinking, okay, what he has in the back must be really bad against Drapion. I throw the Aqua Tail, and he shields, and that kind of confirms for me what he has in the back is bad. So I throw out my Golbat just to get rid of it. I'm like, okay, what he has in the back is probably good against Golbat. Let me just get rid of the Golbat now. He throws a Crunch, and then it comes out, and it's Girafarig, and I'm like, yes. I throw the Poison Fang, and initially I was thinking, okay, you know, I have a shield. All what I have to do is get to this Aqua Tail, and it's GG's, right? Just shield the Mirror Coat. But for a second here, I completely forgot that he still had his Drapion in the back. And, you know, as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, yes, I'm going to, you know, feint the Girafarig and it'll be GG's. But as you can see here, he brings out his own Drapion, and because of the fact that he's running Felsinger and Crunch, he's not able to get to an Aqua Tail. Otherwise, he would have had me there. And since I was able to feint him down, it's GG's. GG's the Predator 8V. So we head into round 7, and I am up against Jerry222. At this point in the tournament, Jerry is completely undefeated, and I am going 5-1, and the fate of the world is on my shoulders to create this 6-1 tie. I am sweating bullets at this point. I'm like, oh man, I don't know how I'm gonna play against this team. I am really nervous at this point. I'm thinking, okay, I think Drapion looks pretty solid against this team. I think Bibarel would also be good, and I also think I really need to bring that Golbat, help with Shiftry, definitely help with Heracross, and I think that's gonna be my lineup, and we'll see how it goes. We head into game 1. I lead Drapion into his Bibarel, and I'm like, oh god, I lost the lead. This is totally not good. So I farm up some energy, and I'm really trying to get the Surf to land on my Bibarel, but it does not work. And he answers my Bibarel with Shiftry, and I'm like, oh man. I decide I'm just going to let Bibarel go at this point. There was really no sense in shielding. So I bring in my Golbat, and he is really aggressively farming, and I was expecting a foul play at this point. So I'm like, okay, let me shield this up really quickly, and it ends up being a Hurricane, and I'm like, great, I'm just gonna really aggressively farm, and at this point I had counted 3 foul plays, so I'm like, I know that's a Leaf Blade, I know I don't have to shield that. This is awesome. My Golbat has so much energy, I am ready for whatever comes out. So he sends out his next Pokemon, and it's his own Golbat, and I'm like, okay, let me try to catch the Poison Fang. It doesn't work out like that. I was trying to catch a Poison Fang with my Drapion. He sends out his own Bibarel. I'm like, okay, let me throw the Crunch. And this is around the point where I realize it's good games for me. He lets the Crunch go through, and I send out my own Golbat. I was really trying to get that Poison Fang off, but he beat me to the CMP tie, and he got that Surf off instead. And so I had no choice but to use my last shield, and I undercharged the Poison Fang here. I was trying really hard to farm up as much energy as I could. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to shield bait the Poison Fang. I'm going to shield bait. No. He was completely ready with the Shadow Ball. He had so much energy. There was just no way. I got demolished. So after that round 1 loss, I'm like, okay, I need to change things up a lot. Heading into this second game here, I decide to go to Overliable and lead with my Shadow Eggs. So we head into game 2, and I lead Shadow Eggs into Venomoth, and this is like a really good matchup for me. I'm really excited, and he goes and makes the switch into his Bibarel, and I'm like, oh, okay, I know I can force a shield here. So I decide to throw the Seed Bomb first before making the swap. Forces the shield, and then I swap to my own Golbat, and with his Bibarel this low, I know that this is a winning matchup for my Golbat. I know I don't have to shield this first Surf. If he gets to a second one, I will have to shield, but I know I could throw this Poison Fang and it'll be, at this point I'm not really sure if we'll get to a second Surf. But I'm thinking, okay, this is a great situation. He throws that second Surf and I'm like, I have 2 shields. If I commit 1 shield right now, I will have control of this matchup. So I commit that shield. I'm prepared for his Venomoth to come back in at this point, and I'm thinking, okay, if I could just get to this Poison Fang, I could do some damage, right? You know, nothing crazy. Just do some damage first. I know he's gonna fast attack me down, it's fine. And at this point, I'm like, this is really good for me. I'm thinking, okay, if I send out my Shadow Eggs, I need to commit a shield. If I send out Drapion, I'm not gonna commit a shield no matter what. So I sent out Drapion, don't commit a shield, and it's just a Poison Fang. And I'm like, this is awesome. So at this point, I'm like, what does he have in the back? And it is Golbat. So I'm like, okay, good. Game 2 is in the bag. I throw the Aqua Tail. And this is one of those matchups where I'm not really worried about what he's going to throw. So he gets to a charge move, and I'm thinking, I don't care what it is, I'm not going to throw. And I don't know if I was just excited, but I got a little flashy with it, and I switched to my Shadow Eggs, and then I committed my last shield right here, and I was like, I'm going to win it. You know, Shadow Eggs is winning me this game. I confusioned him down at the end with my Shadow Eggs. There we go. Game 2, and we're going to a finals. So we get to the final round. Everything is on the line at this point, and I switch up my lineup one final time. This time I'm thinking I'm going to lead with Drapion, I'm going to bring my Golbat, and I'm going to bring my Shadow Eggs in the back, because Shadow Eggs haven't let me down this far, you know? It's been a wild ride, but Shadow Eggs, they've been there through and through, so let's see how this goes. So we get into the lead, and I lead Drapion into Steelix, and at this point I'm thinking I did not bring an answer for Steelix in this lineup. I need to commit my Drapion right now to taking out this Steelix. So of course I'm just gonna go straight Aqua Tail. He doesn't block the first one, thankfully. And he gets to, you know, he has enough energy for an Earthquake, and I'm thinking, you know, there's no way, it wouldn't make sense for him to throw a Crunch at this point, so I do commit my shield. I'm thinking, awesome. I overfarm just a little bit here, and then I decide to throw my Aqua Tail. I wanted to have energy in case he decided to let Steelix go. But as I throw my Aqua Tail, he decides to commit a shield, and he gets enough energy once again for an Earthquake, and I'm like, okay, I know this is an Earthquake. He wants to take me out at this point. So I let it go through because his Steelix is super, super low, and I'm thinking, great. I can send out my Shadow Eggs at this point. They can farm up Steelix, and I could get some energy going on the Shadow Eggs. So I get 2 confusions off, I get some energy going, and then I'm waiting, and then he sends out his Bibarel, and I'm thinking, this is awesome. And then he sends out his Golbat. I'm counting fast attacks here. Usually you want to go straight Poison Fang, and I send out my own Golbat, and I catch the Poison Fang with my Golbat. That was the best play I've made this entire tournament. So at this point, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. So I go straight Poison Fang. There's no sense in me going Shadow Ball. I just want to get his Golbat low. I know if he throws a Shadow Ball, it's not going to take me out. So I decide to save my last shield in case Bibarel has his Surf ready. And I won the matchup. I had just a sliver of HP. This Bibarel comes in and takes me out. And then my Shadow Eggs come out, and I had a Seed Bomb ready. And I'm thinking, okay, I wasn't really counting. I might be 1 confusion away from a second one. He shields. I had it ready. I had the second Seed Bomb ready, and thanks to Shadow Eggs, you know, I was able to take him out in this last matchup. And that play, that switch won me the game. And there you have it. I was matched up against Jerry in the last round, and thanks to Shadow Eggs, I was able to pull off the 6-1 tie, and it was a bop. It was a good time. This was definitely my best Toxic tournament by far. I wanted to give a shout out to the Brownsvillians PVP server for hosting. Everything didn't go perfectly smooth. Some rounds took a little long, but it was a good time. Things were a little crazy. It was a huge, 7 rounds. That's a big time commitment for a live tournament, but it was a good time. I had some awesome battles along the way. Jerry gave me an amazing finals. I did not expect to beat him. I was totally prepared to let everybody down and not create the tie. But yeah, thanks to Shoutout Eggs, I was able to create the tie, and it was a great learning experience. It was by far my best Toxic tournament so far, and I'm definitely looking forward to doing a few more. I know this video's been a long video. This is my longest video ever. This is my first tournament coverage video, and it's been a learning experience. If you guys have made it this far in the video, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed my tournament run. I hope you were able to learn a thing or two. And if you have any tips for me, leave them in the comments. I'm still learning how to do the editing, the YouTube, the speaking and commentating. Any tips you guys have for me, it would be really appreciated. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. If you guys have any team composition ideas with Shoutout Eggs, I'd love to hear what you guys come up with in the comments. This Mega Toxic has been a lot of fun. I have a few more Mega Toxics coming up, and soon we'll be jumping into Voyager Cup. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. I'd love to see you guys in the comments, and well, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.